Lady Gaga's dog walker shot, 2 of her French bulldogs stolen. Lady Gaga's dog walker was shot and her 2 French bulldogs, Koij and Gustav, were stolen Wednesday night in Hollywood. A source close to the singer tells CNN. The source said the singer is offering $500,000 to anyone who has her 2 dogs, no questions asked. Anyone who has the dogs can use this email, kojiandgustav@gmail.com, to retrieve the reward. The Los Angeles Police Department (LAPD) said a man was shot during a robbery before 10 p.m. and was transported to the hospital in stable condition. The male suspect took the 2 bulldogs from the victim, used a semi-automatic handgun and fled the scene in a white sedan, according to police. The investigation is ongoing. The source added that the singer's dog walker is thankfully recovering well. Trump's tax returns and related records turned over to Manhattan District Attorney (CNN) tax records that former President Donald Trump tried to keep secret for years are now in the hands of the New York District Attorney. Prosecutors obtained the records on Monday, just hours after the U.S. Supreme Court denied Trump's last-ditch effort to keep the records private, a spokesperson for the district attorney said. The millions of pages of documents, sources say, contain Trump's tax returns spanning from January 2011 to August 2019, as well as financial statements, engagement agreements, documents relating to the preparation and review of tax returns, and work papers and communications related to the tax returns, though the documents handed off from Trump's longtime accounting firm Mazars won't be released to the public because they're subject to grand jury secrecy rules. Their delivery caps off an extraordinary 17-month quest by the former president and his lawyers to block investigators from obtaining the records. New York District Attorney Cy Vance is investigating whether Trump and the Trump Organization engaged in tax fraud, insurance fraud and other schemes to defraud, including potentially providing false information to financial institutions or banks about the value of certain buildings and assets, with the records now in hand. Vance and his fellow prosecutors will be able to dig deeper into investigative theories, pursue interviews with key witnesses, and determine whether they believe any state laws have been violated. Our office obtained the records on Monday, said Vance spokesman Danny Frost. Mazars' spokesman didn't respond to a request for comment. The records may be critical to the investigation because they are likely to contain documents that reflect the decision-making behind valuations and tax write-offs, which may be important to determine whether there was intent to commit a crime. The investigators have wanted to review the documents before calling key witnesses before the grand jury. People familiar with the inquiry said, in addition to the records from Mazars, Vance's office has been seeking a slew of other documents. They subpoenaed records and interviewed employees at Deutsche Bank, one of Trump's creditors, about loans given to him, and insurance broker Aon. According to multiple sources familiar with the investigation, Deutsche Bank has loaned Trump more than $300 million. Related, Donald Trump Jr. deposed by D.C. Attorney General as part of inaugural funds lawsuit. Prosecutors have also subpoenaed Ladder Capital, which has loaned the Trump Organization over $100 million, and the Trump Organization for records relating to fees paid to consultants, including Ivanka Trump, these people said. Researchers find worrying new coronavirus variant in New York City, CNN. 2 separate teams of researchers said this week they have found a worrying new coronavirus variant in New York City and elsewhere in the Northeast that carries mutations that help it evade the body's natural immune response, as well as the effects of monoclonal antibody treatments. Genomics researchers have named the variant B1.526. It appears in people affected in diverse neighborhoods of New York City, they said, and is scattered in the Northeast. One of the mutations in this variant is the same concerning change found in the variant first seen in South Africa and known as B1.351. It appears to evade somewhat the body's response to vaccines, as well. And it's becoming more common. We observed a steady increase in the detection rate from late December to mid-February, with an alarming rise to 12.7% in the past 2 weeks, one team, at Columbia University Medical Center, write in a report that has yet to be published. Although it is scheduled to appear in preprint version this week, it's the latest of a growing number of viral variants that have arisen in the U.S., which has had more coronavirus cases, 28 million, than any other country and where spread is still intense. It's homegrown, presumably in New York. Dr. David Ho, director of the Aaron Diamond AIDS Research Center at Columbia, who led the study team, said by email, "Viruses mutate all the time. The more people who are infected, and the longer they are infected, the more chance the viruses have to change. A patient's body will be loaded with billions of copies of a virus, and will be slightly changed, or mutated. Most will come and go. But sometimes a mutation or pattern of mutations takes hold and gets passed along. If viruses with such patterns become more common, they're called variants. Again, it's not unusual for variants to arise, but if they give the virus worrying properties, such as better transmissibility or the ability to evade treatments and vaccines, that's when doctors start to worry. The mutation in this variant that most concerns researchers is